she's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
It was a magical time, and I'm a Disney princess, and it was just very magical.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I'm getting on across the block here. Yeah, hold on.
All right.
But it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
Now looking like it is seriously on life support, that golden goose's belly up.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
CEO of IBM.
And that's why people are so annoyed.
Rachel Zegler's supposed comeback film hasn't even started full production, and it's already under fire from inside the house.
To all the people who are up in my DMs trying to guess what character I'm playing, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to answer your DMs.
The edgy new project, She Gets It From Me, was pitched as her shot at redemption, a smaller indie drama to help her reset the narrative after the Snow White catastrophe.
And it's no longer 1937. The cartoon was made 85 years ago.
But the early buzz isn't just skeptical, it's downright icy. According to multiple industry insiders, tension behind the scenes is brewing fast. Production is still in early stages, but reports say there's already creative conflict simmering between Zegler and the director, Julia von Heinz.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's Hollywood, baby.
And it's not the kind of artistic disagreement that fuels great cinema. It's more like déjà vu. People involved are saying it feels eerily familiar, like West Side Story and Snow White all over again. The film was announced with Marisa Tomei in the lead role, playing a former punk rocker mother opposite Zegler, who plays her daughter. On paper, it sounds like the kind of grounded, character-driven story that could save Ziegler's image. A gritty comedy drama, a redemption arc, a soft reboot of her career. But the problem is, it might already be unraveling.
I have nothing interesting to say. I look insane.
Oh my God.
Word from within the creative team is that Zegler came into this project wanting more say than her role actually allows. She reportedly pushed back on early drafts, lobbying for rewrites that would give her character more emotional depth and screen time. Which might sound reasonable, until you realize this is not her movie. Tomei is the anchor, and if early accounts are to be believed, Zegler is once again trying to hijack the spotlight, and that's not even the most alarming part.
Everyone's just ignoring my phone calls. Whatever, it's chill. I don't even care.
Some crew members allegedly voiced concerns about working with Zegler from the start, fearing the baggage she brings could overshadow the film. And it's already happening. The film's announcement got ratioed on social media. Fan reactions were brutal. Comments like, "Who asked for this?" and "Why does she still get cast?" flooded Twitter within minutes of the news dropping. Even neutral film blogs struggled to hide the awkward tone, hyping up the project while subtly pointing out that the lead actress is, well, not exactly beloved right now.
She deserves to be in a padded cell.
So here we are. The cameras haven't even rolled and the vibe is already off. A cast that feels mismatched. Creative disagreements before a single scene is shot, and an audience that isn't just uninterested, they're actively rooting against it. For a movie meant to mark a fresh chapter, She Gets It From Me is shaping up to be more of the same Rachel Zegler saga. Headlines, backlash, and a production under siege before it even begins. If this sounds familiar, it's because Rachel Zegler has been here before. Every project she touches seems to come with turbulence, and not just from the audience. It's within the walls of production where things quietly spiral.
It is a colossal disaster.
Sources from her last major studio gig say Disney executives were left stunned by how fast public opinion turned toxic, but even more so by Zegler's own behavior behind the scenes. According to those close to the Snow White set, Rachel didn't just challenge the direction, she reportedly treated it like her personal soapbox. She talked like she was rewriting the brand, one insider put it, except it wasn't her job to reinvent Disney. And when she did try to rewrite the narrative, it backfired. Spectacularly. Instead of leaning into the fairy tale nostalgia that made Snow White iconic, she dismissed it, publicly, loudly, with the kind of smug confidence that made even longtime Disney fans recoil.
I'm gonna be on a talk show tonight, and I'm gonna talk shit about them on the talk show. Talking shit on the talk show.
Zegler told interviewers the original film was creepy, criticized the prince's character, and laughed at the idea of a love story being central to a princess film. It was the kind of PR meltdown that felt almost intentional. And now, critics are saying she's walking into her new movie carrying that same energy. The belief that she's smarter than the script, more important than the role, and somehow immune to backlash. The real kicker? This isn't a billion-dollar Disney remake. This is a modest indie film. No special effects, no global rollout, no theme park synergy. It's just actors, dialogue, and emotional storytelling. But even in that quiet space, Zegler reportedly can't resist trying to steer the ship. The director, Julia von Heinz, has been praised for her intimate, character-first approach to filmmaking. But some sources claim that Zegler has already begun clashing with the tone, pushing for more dramatic rewrites, allegedly trying to turn what should be a grounded ensemble piece into a star vehicle.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms.
And what about Marisa Tomei? She's a veteran, respected, Oscar winner. Exactly the kind of calm, grounded presence who could have helped guide Zegler back into the public's good graces. But the chemistry between them? Word is, it's not great. Some early table reads were described as awkward and unbalanced, with Tomei's subtle performance style clashing hard with Zegler's reportedly exaggerated delivery. They feel like they're in two different movies, one source said, and Zegler doesn't seem to realize that she's not the lead. With all this in the air, the biggest question isn't whether the film will be good, it's whether it will even survive the headlines. Because when you cast someone like Rachel Zegler in a comeback film, you're not just betting on talent, you're gambling on reputation. And right now, that gamble is looking riskier by the day. So why cast her? Why, after everything? Snow White's PR implosion, West Side Story's behind-the-scenes drama, and her now infamous interview disasters, would a studio choose to roll the dice on Rachel Zegler again? The answer might be as simple as desperation or delusion. Embankment Films isn't exactly a household name. They're an independent player, scrappy, international, and historically focused on character-driven dramas. They don't have the luxury of banking on guaranteed A-listers. They bet on stories. But even for a smaller studio, choosing Rachel Zegler feels like a gamble they can't afford. If this movie tanks, it won't just be a loss at the box office. It'll be a reputation hit, a sign that they backed a star with more controversy than credibility. Let's be honest, this isn't Zegler's redemption arc. This feels more like a Hail Mary. Her last film became a social media war zone. Entire TikTok accounts were dedicated to mocking her interviews. Her presence at premieres turned into meme material, and her tendency to double down instead of backtrack, it created a wall between her and the people she's supposed to connect with, the audience.
I'm like so ready to just throw my phone away. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen.
And yet here comes She Gets It From Me, a mother-daughter drama where Zegler plays the child of a rebellious ex-punk rocker played by Tomei. On paper, it sounds promising, edgy, emotional, fresh, but under the surface, there's already tension. Some insiders say Rachel's camp is trying to rebrand the project as a statement piece, a kind of self-aware pivot from Disney's glossy perfection to indie grit. The problem? That kind of calculated pivot only works if the performance delivers. If Zegler brings the same attitude she brought to Snow White, no amount of indie street cred will save her. And let's not forget the optics. This is the first project she's landed since becoming one of the most polarizing names in Hollywood. Casting her right now doesn't just raise eyebrows, it invites scrutiny. Industry observers are already whispering that Embankment may have overestimated her appeal, that instead of making a quiet comeback, they've lit a fuse. Because the truth is, this isn't just about Zegler's talent, or lack thereof. It's about whether the public can stomach watching her try to reclaim the spotlight without owning the damage she caused along the way. She's never truly apologized, never taken real responsibility for throwing Snow White under the bus, or for steamrolling the nostalgia that millions of fans held close. She dismissed it all with a smirk, and now she wants us to cheer her comeback? Not so fast. What's unfolding behind the scenes of She Gets It From Me isn't just typical set gossip, it's a warning sign. According to multiple insiders close to early development, tensions are already mounting during the prep phase. Not outright chaos, not yet, but enough unease that some crew members are reportedly setting boundaries early. One source familiar with the project's planning described the dynamic as fragile, especially around table reads where Zegler allegedly pushed back on key dialogue and tone. Instead of collaborating, she's said to be asserting herself more aggressively than expected for someone in a comeback position. Even the chemistry reads, which were supposed to highlight the spark between Zegler and Tomei, reportedly lacked the warmth producers hoped for. Tomei, known for her grounded professionalism and on-screen magnetism, is doing the heavy lifting. But Zegler? The word used wasn't bad, it was distant.
The movie was absolutely terrible. It's not the single worst movie I've ever seen, but in every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
There's already speculation brewing that if this pairing doesn't land emotionally, the entire film falls apart. There's also a brewing concern about Zegler's involvement in shaping the film's public messaging. Word is, she wants to position the movie as not just a comeback, but a cultural moment. framing her character as a reflection of misunderstood Gen Z resilience, echoing her own narrative arc. The irony? That very desire to turn everything into a personal crusade is what got her in trouble with Snow White. The audience doesn't want another project hijacked by ego. They want to believe in the story, not the celebrity trying to rewrite their image through it. Meanwhile, marketing departments are already walking on eggshells. Executives reportedly fear that Zegler may go off-script again during press. One unfiltered quote, one sarcastic TikTok, one smug comment about fairy tales being weird or outdated, and the entire narrative flips. They've seen it before. The question isn't if she'll say something controversial, it's when. And with cameras ready to capture every slip, there's no room for error this time. There's also the Marisa Tomei factor. If things really go south, insiders believe the studio might pivot marketing to center entirely around Tomei. She has the awards, the fan goodwill, and none of the baggage. Don't be surprised if posters, trailers, and press junkets start leaning into Oscar winner Marisa Tomei and quietly easing Zegler to the side. That would be a devastating blow, not just to her ego, but to any shot she has of proving she can carry a film. Because whether she realizes it or not, this movie is her test. Not a blockbuster, not a musical, just a quiet indie drama. And if she fumbles this too, there might not be another hand extended to pull her back up. This isn't just another movie on Rachel Zegler's resume. It's a crossroads, and everyone in the business knows it. West Side Story was supposed to launch her into the stratosphere. Spielberg himself handed her the lead. How many unknowns get that kind of first break? But the movie underperformed. Then came Snow White, and everything that could go wrong did. A promotional campaign derailed by tone-deaf interviews, social media gaffes that alienated the very audience Disney was banking on, and an on-set reputation that soured even the most enthusiastic allies. After two high-profile disappointments, industry power players have quietly started asking the same question. Is Rachel Zegler more trouble than she's worth? Behind closed doors, casting directors have allegedly started putting limits on her name. Not blacklisting yet, but caution flags. Studios that once saw her as a long-term investment are now reluctant to attach her to high-risk projects. And that's what makes She Gets It From Me so telling. It's not coming from a major studio. It's an indie production, modest budget, modest expectations, modest safety net. The film is being positioned as a character-driven mother-daughter drama. It doesn't have Disney's marketing engine. It doesn't have Spielberg's halo effect. It has a script, 2 actresses, and a very narrow path to critical success. That's it. And it's telling that Zegler's next shot at redemption is coming not from Hollywood royalty, but from a production house trying to sell in over 70 territories with no guarantee of theatrical distribution. And still, even now, people are betting on her to mess it up.
This girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
Why? Because if past behavior is any predictor of future performance, Zegler's pattern is hard to ignore. Big opportunity, big spotlight, big meltdown. She doesn't just self-sabotage, she broadcasts it. Whether it's slamming the original material she's hired to promote, turning press interviews into lectures, or alienating co-stars with performative activism, she finds a way to light a match every time she's handed a platform. Hollywood is a lot of things. Shallow, superficial, obsessed with image, but it's not stupid. When someone becomes more of a liability than an asset, the phone stops ringing. And while some actors can survive a flop or two, they usually do it by owning up to their mistakes, not doubling down on them. If She Gets It From Me goes sideways, if the chemistry with Tomei doesn't land, if the marketing backfires, or if Zegler delivers even one more headline that sends Twitter into meltdown mode, it won't just be a bad movie. It'll be her last chance gone up in smoke, and in an industry that always has a dozen hungry, humble replacements waiting in the wings, that's a risk no studio wants to keep taking. Enter Marisa Tomei, the Oscar winner with real acting chops, actual audience goodwill, and 0 public scandals. If anyone can bring credibility to this shaky project, it's her. But let's not kid ourselves. Tomei isn't just here to act. She's here to offset Rachel Zegler, to neutralize the baggage, to serve as the grounding force in a film already teetering on a PR tightrope. It's no coincidence that every article about She Gets It From Me puts Tomei's name first in the headline, even though Zegler is the one playing the daughter. Tomei is the safety net, the built-in insurance policy, and people close to the production know it. Allegedly, producers were dead set on pairing Zegler with someone who could not only act circles around her, but also keep the press tour from turning into another Snow White-style disaster. Tomei was that choice. But here's the issue. Damage control doesn't always work when the damage is still ongoing. Reports have already started trickling out about early creative clashes. Nothing explosive, just tension. Zegler's known for wanting to reinterpret every role, injecting her own version of empowerment even when it doesn't fit the script. Tomei, on the other hand, is old school. She respects the writing, trusts the director, and doesn't treat every scene like a platform for social commentary. So now you've got two very different energies colliding on set. And even if they manage to pull it off on screen, insiders are already bracing for the press tour. One slip from Zegler, one sarcastic TikTok, one smug interview, and the headlines write themselves. Tomei tries to hold it together while Zegler rants again. That's the nightmare scenario, and they all know it. What's worse, some fans are already speculating that Tomei might be regretting the decision. Her brand has always been classy, subtle, quietly powerful, and now she's been paired with one of the most divisive actresses in recent memory. It's a strange match. Some are calling it brave, others are calling it desperation, from both sides. Because for all her awards and acclaim, Tomei hasn't exactly been headlining blockbusters either. This project gives her something too, a chance to re-enter the spotlight. But if Zegler turns this into another social media circus, Tomei's credibility might get pulled into the whirlpool right along with her.
Put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more lit.
Everything will be great once we just act exactly like men.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress.
It's a high-stakes gamble. Two actresses from completely different generations, mindsets, and reputations thrown into a mother-daughter narrative that's already under scrutiny. One misstep, and this won't be a comeback story. It'll be a cautionary tale. And if the rumblings from set are true, that story may have already started writing itself. Even before a single frame has hit the screen, this movie is already feeling haunted by the ghost of Snow White. And it's not just audience skepticism, it's internal. The people financing and producing this film aren't going in blind. They've seen the headlines. They know what happened last time. And there's a growing sense, whether they'll admit it publicly or not, that history might be repeating itself. One industry insider put it bluntly: nobody wants to babysit another meltdown. That's the kind of baggage Rachel Zegler now brings to the table. Not just press controversies or creative clashes, but a general unease. Like at any moment, she might say something that tanks the entire rollout. It's the kind of risk that small indie studios usually can't afford. But Embankment is rolling the dice anyway. Reports from early table reads haven't helped calm nerves either. According to someone close to the project, Zegler allegedly tried to ad-lib her way through scenes, tossing out lines that just didn't fit the tone. It wasn't rebellious genius. It was chaotic. And while Tomei reportedly remained calm, producers were said to be visibly tense. The director, Julia von Heinz, is respected, but this is her first major American crossover. And the idea of navigating Zegler's volatility in a cross-cultural, high-stakes indie project, that's not a light lift. The movie is still in early production, but already there's a whisper network forming in the indie film space, the kind that precedes a PR mess. Casting Rachel Zegler wasn't just a creative decision, it was a calculated move, a risk with hopes of a redemption narrative. But the problem with redemption arcs, they only work when the person involved actually wants to change, and from what we've seen so far, there's been no real evolution. Same attitude, same performative self-awareness, same defensiveness masked as empowerment. It's all becoming very predictable. And the audience? They're not buying it. Not after Snow White, not after Y2K, and definitely not after that TikTok theater fiasco. There's this unspoken feeling hanging over the project that everyone is just hoping she keeps her mouth shut long enough to let the film speak for itself. But when your lead actress is better known for going viral in all the wrong ways than for her actual performances, how realistic is that? The early buzz isn't about the story. It's not about the script or the themes. It's about whether Zegler is going to implode again, and who else she might drag down with her this time. At this point, the bigger question isn't whether this new movie will flop. It's what comes after. Because if this is Rachel Zegler's so-called comeback vehicle, the road ahead looks brutally uncertain. Hollywood has short memories for success and long memories for failure. And right now, Zegler is stacking failures like trophies. West Side Story underperformed. Snow White imploded. Y2K came and went without a sound. If She Gets It From Me goes sideways, that's 4 in a row.
I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Rachel, did Steven Spielberg not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, Cry Me a River? She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
And here's where it gets really bleak. This industry can only tolerate so many bombs before someone gets benched. The days of actors bouncing back endlessly from disaster after disaster are over, especially when they bring controversy with them. Zegler isn't just risking another critical drubbing, she's risking total career freefall. Her name doesn't come with buzz anymore, it comes with baggage, risk, conflict, drama. And that's not what studios want when they're betting millions. Internally, some producers are already said to be shifting their eyes to newer talent. Young actresses with clean slates, no viral outbursts, and most importantly, no built-in audience backlash. Because casting Zegler doesn't just come with performance questions. It now comes with PR strategy meetings, damage control memos, and staffers who have to monitor every press event for potential explosions. That's exhausting and expensive. Even the indie world, which often prides itself on giving actors room to experiment and rebuild, has limits. Directors want collaborators, not liabilities. Investors want passion, not polarization. And while Marisa Tomei might have the grace and poise to anchor this movie, she can't carry the entire PR load. If this film collapses under the weight of Zegler's reputation, it could actually hurt Tomei too. And that's a risk Tomei's team is surely watching closely. In a brutally honest moment, one Hollywood insider noted, "The irony is that Rachel Zegler's biggest obstacle isn't public perception, it's herself." And they might be right, because you can't stage a comeback if you never admit you went off course. You can't rebuild your reputation if you're still acting like the world is the problem and you're the misunderstood genius. This film may be her last real shot to pivot, to show a different side, to dial down the arrogance and prove she can be part of something bigger than herself. But if that doesn't happen, Hollywood won't wait around. It never does. The audience isn't sitting quietly either. If early reactions are anything to go by, fans are already circling like vultures, not out of spite, but out of exhaustion. They've been burned, and they're not looking to be fooled again. On social media, the announcement of Zegler's latest role was met with less excitement and more eye rolls. Comments flooded timelines with, "Why her again?" and "Has Hollywood learned nothing?" The trust is broken, and audiences are making it clear. They don't want another movie packaged in self-righteous posturing and marketed as activism wearing a movie costume. Because here's the truth. People love a comeback, but they hate being gaslit. If She Gets It From Me tries to pass itself off as a heartfelt mother-daughter indie while ignoring the storm Zegler's name drags with it, viewers won't buy it. Not after Snow White, not after Y2K, not after months of headlines where Zegler seemed more invested in lecturing her audience than entertaining them. And the worst thing a movie can be in this landscape? Dishonest, not just in tone, but in intent. Audiences today have sharp radars for manufactured redemption arcs. They can spot a studio trying to rebrand a problematic actor from a mile away, and they resent the manipulation. That's why this film, despite its small budget and indie label, is under more scrutiny than most tentpole blockbusters. It's not just a movie anymore, it's a litmus test. Can Zegler win people back with talent? Or will the same patterns repeat? Tone-deaf interviews, performative press moments, and a smug attitude that erases any goodwill the performance might earn. The preview screenings haven't even started, and yet the expectations are sky high for all the wrong reasons. If this film bombs, no one will be surprised. But if it actually manages to be decent, it'll be seen as a fluke. That's how low the bar has fallen for Zegler. And it's not because of some coordinated hate campaign. It's because she keeps reinforcing the same narrative. Arrogance over accountability, performance over authenticity. Hollywood doesn't need another actress who treats every press junket like a TED Talk. It needs stars who remember why they're there in the first place. To tell great stories, not to wage cultural battles. And until Zegler figures that out, no amount of box office spin or press grooming is going to fix her image. So now we're here, on the edge of yet another potential disaster. A new film, a new studio, and the same actress at the center of it all, dragging a mountain of unresolved baggage behind her. She Gets It From Me might be a fresh start on paper, but in practice, it's already caught in the undertow of Rachel Zegler's past behavior. You can slap a quirky indie title on it, surround her with respected names like Marisa Tomei, and release it through a smaller distributor all you want, but the audience never forgets. They remember the interviews, they remember the smugness, they remember the arrogance, and they're already skeptical. Because this isn't just about one film anymore, this is about a pattern. It's about an actress who keeps getting handed opportunities that she consistently fumbles. Studios keep rolling the dice, hoping that this time will be different, while audiences are standing on the sidelines, arms crossed, waiting to be proven wrong once again. And it's not just Zegler under the microscope. It's the entire system that enables this. Hollywood's refusal to listen to its own viewers is how we keep ending up here, dumping millions into projects headlined by personalities who've already alienated the public. And now, as we brace for the next chapter in Zegler's saga, the stakes are higher than ever. If this film flops, it won't just be a bad box office weekend, it will be the final confirmation that Hollywood's golden bet on Rachel Zegler was never worth the hype. If it performs well, it'll be seen as a lucky anomaly, not a triumph of talent. Either way, the audience has already made up its mind. They're not waiting with excitement, they're watching with suspicion. And that's the kind of pressure no PR campaign can fix. Because in the end, this isn't just about Rachel Zegler. It's about what we expect from our public figures. It's about what we forgive and what we don't. It's about whether Hollywood can still learn from its mistakes, or if it's doomed to keep casting the same faces into the same flames, hoping they won't burn this time. The viewers, they're not rooting for another flop, but they're not rooting for Zegler either. So here's the question. Do you think audiences will ever give Rachel Zegler a clean slate, or is this comeback already circling the drain? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like if you're still watching The Fallout, and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's biggest dramas, because the next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.